and they're still hopeful. In a few places, I keep my fingers crossed, and I say, I hope, he does what he said he was going to do. But early on in Bush's administration, he said we shouldn't be the policemen of the world, and we shouldn't be involved in nation building like that bad guy Clinton. But then he went and did it even more so. I think your concerns are justified, because even though Obama was the so-called peace candidate, and he was going to bring our troops home and end that war in Iraq, I'm afraid there's evidence now that shows that he's going to pursue the same foreign policy, which was my argument during the campaign, that no matter what happens, both major parties support the same foreign policy, the same monetary policy, the same welfare policy, and there's never really any change. In spite of that, I think it remains to be seen. Every once in a while, you'll see an appointment, at least one or two appointments that Obama has made. You're hopeful that they will become more concerned about our civil liberties, but I don't think there's any reason for us to rejoice.
Well, I mean, he's bringing in all the very Clinton people who are the ones that got rid of the Glass-Steagall Act and others, the literal engineers of what's happening now with derivatives, and then they're up there grandstanding as our saviors.
Yeah, and they're pursuing all the spending and the secret tough stuff going on, whether it's with Treasury or with the Federal Reserve. And the markets, in spite of how a lot of people think the markets don't know what's going on, the markets are pretty smart. So the fact that they're not responding, in spite of all this stuff the government's doing, every time the government comes up with a new program, the markets even go down more. So the markets are saying that they're not very happy with the bailout. It's not going to solve the problem, and the free market people are actually right, because you need liquidation, you need the elimination of the malinvestment, you need to get housing prices down so poor people can buy them and get rid of these 19 million empty houses. You can't stimulate housing until these houses are bought, and so far they haven't quite understood that.
All right, Congressman, with the 4 or 5 minutes we've got left, I want to blitz through some quick questions for you. I know when you were on Glenn Beck, he says, I've been looking at these camps. Is there anything to it? We have the Houston Chronicle admitting they built FEMA camps. We have the bill introduced to build more and then merge the police and local communities in with them. They have signed Pentagon directives, as you know, to use regular Army. In Canada, they're announcing they're going to use the military. The Army War College says the military is preparing to engage the American people. And I know you're informed, because I've never talked to you about something that you weren't informed about. And so you did say on the show, well, the public's worried because Washington's out of control. But when John Warner Defense Authorization Act and some of the new executive orders that have come out, but also just Pentagon directives, I could pull them up, they're saying governors will be dual-headed federal officers, and now they have Marines at checkpoints looking for drunk drivers, in California. Yeah. I mean, all of this is going on, sir. So can you specifically speak to the danger of Northcom taking over, or is that not a problem?
No, I think it definitely is a problem. And yet, on a bright side, if we're looking for one, is we've had 20 states now introduce resolutions say we're sick of the feds, and we might have to talk about state sovereignty again. So there's a healthy reaction to this. But yes, we should be concerned. But because I deal with these people, although I know there's a lot of evil out there, I also know the average member of Congress probably isn't a participant in a grand conspiracy. They'll come along and they say, well, all we're doing is states are inefficient and private sources don't work. We got to provide housing, and if there's housing is on a military base, that's all we're doing. And a lot of them they'll buy into this and they'll accept it, even though others have other ideas on what's really going on. But the whole notion is so dangerous, even if it's all very well intended, is so dangerous. Because they want central economic planning. It doesn't work, so they need authority. They become authoritarians, and it's like what they do when they want to mold personal behavior. They have to police. Well,
Congressman, you hit the nail exactly on the head. They're rolling this out like, there'll be emergency medical centers at military bases and a brig for bad people, and the Army's going to have to maintain order when the government engineered this economic crisis.
Yeah, and a lot of people will buy into that. And then too often in the past what happens is it gets too far along and it's hard to reverse. But what we have to do is look on the bright side and say, well, we have to inform people to know what their rights are, know what the Constitution says, know what the states can do. And I'm delighted that a few states now are standing up, and they want to talk about nullification. You know, this is great stuff, and it's perfectly legal, and it's nonviolent, it's constitutional. And if our numbers grow, we can do it nonviolently. And hope that we don't get to that point where all the guns are pointing, some Americans are pointing guns at other Americans. That would, to me, be the worst thing that could happen.
Congressman, in closing, what are other solutions? I mean, obviously, get behind the state sovereignty. The states created the feds. We can, bring them to heel, have grand juries move for indictments of these criminal bankers for all their racketeering and Ponzi schemes. That's solutions. What are some other solutions? And barring those solutions, how bad do you think the government's going to wreck the world economy? How bad do you think it's going to get?
Well, I think it's going to be very, very prolonged. I don't see any rebound. Markets may come back up and that sort of thing, but to rebound, I would expect it to last every bit as long as it happened in the 30s. And the 30s actually ended up until after World War II, when finally the debt was liquidated. Then after World War II, they actually cut spending by 2/3 and they cut taxes by 1/3, and we went back to work again. So it's going to be a long, long time, but now I think we live in greater danger because people are more demanding. They believe they have a right to their neighbor's property, and that's why, there's, liable to be violence. But I think we all have to be prepared. I think we should prepare our families, and I think financially, ultimately, they're going to destroy the dollar. I don't see anything wrong with people believing in the Constitution and following what they thought should be legal tender and owning a few gold coins and a few silver coins and knowing how to defend themselves. That's what the founders talked about. But to me, the most important thing is that we invest in promoting the right ideas and promoting ideas of liberty and promoting the rule of law and promoting our Constitution, because I've said so many times in the campaign that if we did that, our problems would be solved rather quickly and nonviolently.
All right, you've got to go. I did have one question I forgot to ask. Iran, Israel is saying in their papers they may go ahead and hit Iran. Every strategist out there on the left and the right, mainstream, says this could cause World War III. It will definitely cause major economic problems, and Iran might actually launch real attacks. How serious of a situation is that?
It is, and if we believe Obama, he did make an outreach, was including the Iranians in some talks, and hopefully that is helpful. But it also might be his cover to say that, okay, they came in and they didn't do what we said, so therefore we did our very best, and now we'll have to use some other tactics and maybe, acknowledge what Israel might do. I have no idea what's going to happen. I think the fact that we talked a whole lot about that in the last 2 years of the Bush administration helped have him back off from doing anything, or Israel backing off. Right now, it's up for grabs, but I believe if that does happen, a lot of violence is going to break out. Look, there's more violence in Iraq now than there's been for a year, and also Afghanistan is exploding, and we're bombing almost on a daily basis, a routine basis, into Pakistan, and we're just looking to spread this war, which, of course, I consider the real threat to us all.
Well, at the same time, you've been out there front and center. People now know the alternative of liberty. Folks can visit the Liberty Committee and get involved, or just Google the name Ron Paul. In closing, fire out a few of the key websites people can visit to get behind your bill to audit the Federal Reserve.
The best one is campaignforliberty.com, and you can go from there and support us on that issue, because the members of Congress and our senators need to know.
Congressman, we'll talk to you coming up in a month or so. God bless you, and say hi to the family for me.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right, fantastic. There was Congressman Ron Paul. I skipped the network break, not the station break. Station break's coming up for everybody in about 5 minutes. I skipped that network break so that everybody would have a chance to hear more from Congressman Ron Paul. And he's just doing a great job. I mean, he's introduced bills that have a good chance of passing if we get behind him to audit the criminals of the Federal Reserve. He said the criminal bankers need to be indicted by state grand juries and arrested. He's introduced bills to abolish the Federal Reserve. It's up to like 70-something sponsors right now. He talked about 20-something states. It's more like 32 now, introducing legislation, but he's always conservative. That's like a month-old number. It was just absolutely amazing interview with Congressman Ron Paul. But I'll tell you where the biggest solution is, and that is with you, the American people. Look in the mirror. If you want the solution, then you need to simply look in the mirror and realize that we have to go out there and engage in the info war. We have to educate people one mind at a time, give them the red pill, wake them up in the matrix. And the Obama Deception comes out March 15th on DVD and at prisonplanet.tv in super high quality, so you can download it, DivX, burn it to disk, give it to everybody you know. Don't stand by and wait for others to get it. Okay? And also by purchasing the high quality DVD with a nice color cover and all the material, and it's got the extras on it, it's all at Prison Planet. That's prisonplanet.tv. You can watch it online coming up Sunday. I may even launch a few days early. Wink, wink. And you can also order the DVD right now at Infowars.com.